Hey, hi, hello, friend. So today we continue our conversation with Maud Holly. We kept going in our chat about how disability is something to take into consideration within connections. If you don't know where to start, just show up, and the non binary experience. So without further ado, here's part two. Welcome to season 7 of the Queer Consciousness podcast. I'm Kit Sargent, and my pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Jess Grace Garcia, and my pronouns are they, them. We're just humans wanting to share the lived experience of other humans.
This season, we're talking about all things sex. We want to have deep, heart-led conversations as we unpack what sex means to us and why it's so important to talk about it.
This is a season of unlearning, relearning, and sharing about a topic that is still considered taboo.
Because at the end of the day, we are all spiritual, sexual beings having a human experience, walking each other home.
And actually, that's one thing I really appreciate. So my partner, he's Muslim, and from across the world. And, it's a bit of a culture shock, being with somebody from such a different culture and who's over 10 years younger than me.
Robbing the cradle. No, I'm joking.
He pursued me. So he pursued me. Actually, I had a bit of a crush on him. So we were in a group chat together, and he runs his charity, and he reached out to me because at the time I had about 40,000 followers on Threads, I think. My account wasn't quite as big. And he reached out to me because I always share mutual aid. I don't mind. And he was like, excuse me, Miss Maude. And he calls me Maude. And he says, Miss Maude, would you share some of my links? Would you do that? And I said, sure. And we slowly started talking and bonding, and we became friends. And then we started doing more work together. And then, we were just in some group chats together, and I had kind of a casual thing going on. And that guy ghosted me. He just didn't show up for plans one night because,
Why do people do this? I don't
Why?
understand ghosting.
Yeah, he just didn't show up. He just didn't show up. And I was like, okay. So I went home and I was doing some volunteer work with this guy's organization. And and everyone was like, what are you doing here? Didn't you have a date? And I was like, yeah, because I'm single. I'm just going to go on Threads and post. And whoever's, obsessed with me and reads everything I write can tell me that they're in love with me. Ha ha. And 2 minutes later, I got a direct message, and it was him. And he said, don't post. Don't post. I'm him. I'm the guy. I'm in love with you. I read everything you write, and I'm obsessed with you. And I was like, what now? Are you joking? I'm way too old for you. I'm way too old for you. And he said, no, age doesn't matter. And I was like, but I can't have any more children. Don't you want kids? And he said, nope. And I was like, this is crazy. You are on the other side of the world. This is absolutely insane. And he's like, and I said, okay, let's do this. But yeah, I've never been happier. So sorry, my dog's just trying to get my attention.
Animals are essential. They are.
Yeah.
Speaking of a species that does not do anything except for be vulnerable and earn our love, and they do nothing to hurt us except for freeload. Yeah, they do nothing to hurt us, and then except for die.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, you're like, but God damn.
Anyway. So
thank you for sharing your love story. That's cute.
But anyway, yeah, back to intimacy with friends. But yeah, they call each other Habibi. All the men call each other Habibi, which is my darling. And yeah, they're all really affectionate. They all sit really close on the couch and put their arms around each other, and they're very affectionate. So, which is kind of I'm like, men are not this affectionate in my culture. I like this. This is nice. It's really nice. Very open. It's very different. So, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think I shared on here one time that I had a bit of a dream/vision. Not quite sure yet. I there's certain kinds of spirituality things that I don't necessarily have language for all the time that happen, and I go, that there's a reason for this. This is not just my imagination going wild.
Yeah.
And I had a kind of a waking dream where I was in a vehicle, truck. I think it was a truck. And I was driving in an area that I was unfamiliar with. And I was sitting next to a man that was Indian. And I was also a man. And I think I'm not sure what my race was. I just know that he reached over to grab my hand and I grabbed his. And it felt like the most brotherly sort of connection and love, and there was nothing sexual about it. It felt safe, and it felt like, was I transported somewhere for a brief moment to experience something that I needed then? Like, and I think often about how hard it is, honestly, for not just women, but all people who are in this Americanized patriarchal system that has, you know, colonized like beyond the Americas.
Everywhere.
Yes, and create, like, started to take away this sort of safety and intimacy, and made every touch sexual touch, and like children, like when you think about little boys and you think about like how quickly they're taught that you shouldn't cry and you shouldn't need hugs and you shouldn't need, like, after you hit a certain age you're not allowed to snuggle mommy and you're not allowed to snuggle your sisters or whatever, there's so much that little boys that turn into men.
Yep. It's, it's pervasive in America, but I would say it's not strict to America.
No. Yeah.
I find it in all controlled religion is where I find it. Which is why I'm very careful when I talk about the relationship between sex and spirituality and connection versus religion, right? Because it's keeping us disconnected from that connection to source and spirituality and our true connection, I think, that kind of keeps us asleep, and
easy to control.
Easy to control. Yep. So, and however metaphysical you want to get with that, but there's two general principles I try to live by, which is, maybe it starts with me. So, when people wake up in the morning, I can wake up and I can choose to be the good person. I can choose to start something good. So if somebody is starting with a bad day or something, maybe I can choose to be the good person. Maybe it starts with me. Maybe I can be the one to turn it. So if somebody's going to be rude, if somebody's going to be shitty, maybe it starts with me. Maybe it starts with me. So I'm going to at least try, right? I'm going to take that effort and say, maybe it starts with me. And then the next is, it's probably not personal. Which kind of is like, if I'm interacting with somebody who I don't really know, it's probably not personal. So, and I mean, I can't shirk my accountability when I'm dealing with my personal relationships. I mean, sometimes it is absolutely me. I can be a real bitch sometimes, right? But I mean, like in public, when you're dealing with somebody on the internet, right? It's probably not personal. Right? And you have to let go of these things, right? So maybe it starts with me. Maybe today I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be the one that starts something. And it's that simple.
I think that's a great way to live your life. But I also think that, like, part of why my focus in one of my gifts is building community. And the reason why I'm so focused on it is because I believe that we need to be poured into. especially those of us that have a harder time finding that source of strength that you found, Maude, to get out of the places that you were in. And I feel like there's so many folks that are like going, okay, but now what's next, right? Like we've survived, we're now getting to a place where we feel maybe we're thriving, or maybe we could thrive if we were being poured into. And I feel like community is such a an important aspect of that. And I'm just, for me, like, showing folks how to do that. Like, how do we pour into each other, and have it not immediately lead to a trauma bond? That means like, oh, well, now you're it's okay. Like, make friends. Like, great. Like, let's make close friendships. But sometimes people like you all in a toxic way, right? Like they're like, oh, you're the first person to show me this level of commitment, this level of I'm worthy kind of thing. And I think, like, my goal is to remind people, and I've had this happen a lot, where I go to show them love, show them support, and then I say, when people want to put me up on a pedestal really quickly, by the way, I am still human. I will still make mistakes, and I will still do something that will hurt your feelings, and I need you to make space for me to do that. And I want you to tell me. Absolutely tell me when that happens. But also, I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
We will go through it together. We will work through it together. I promise. And it is hard work. And I'm doing it every day with people who are in the spaces that I help build, or even within my friendships. And it means that I am doing the work that so many people have chosen to not do with others, who have ghosted friends, who have like just been like, well, this was too much work, and left. And I am making up for that. And I know that is my own mission, but I will do it as much as I can, because I am being poured into. And I feel like I have the energy to do that right now. So I'm going to do that.
Exactly. And for me, I am fortunate enough, after my head injuries, I was put on disability. So I don't work. So what else am I going to do except sit on threads and pump people up and talk about the issues of the world and make people aware? Like, that is what I can do. And, people don't the way people talk about people on disability, oh my goodness. Okay, so no one wants to be on disability. No one wants to live like this. No one wants to sit around their house all day. It's lonely. It's horrible. I used to be a photographer making baller money, photographing celebrities. Like, nobody wants this. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants to be on disability. I hate this. So, and I like being productive, but nobody's paying me to do this. I mean, if somebody wants to, like, throw some sponsorships at me or whatever, I'd take them, because I haven't done a single one. But like,
I feel you about that. Like it's that kind of support is like, it's hard to find. And like, my dad was on disability for a decade or longer, until he passed. And as a teenager, having one parent on disability and one parent who was working 60 hours a week, and we were barely staying afloat. And the minute that I could work, getting a worker's permit so that I could work and then pay for Christmas gifts for the family and take care of things, like my dad felt so much shame in his inability to be the man. He had to go through so many things, of so many feelings.
People's worth shouldn't be tied to how much they earn and what they can provide. People are inherently worthy, and people want to contribute what they can, There's this wonderful, I don't even know what he does. I follow him on Instagram. He just rides around on like an electric scooter thing, on a electric skateboard, eating watermelon and picking up trash. And he just films it. And he has a sword, and he likes to slice water bottles in half, and he just scoots around picking up, like, I think he must be on disability or something. I don't know. But that's what he does. Like, people want to do something. He's contributing. He picks up garbage. Like, what the hell?
Well, that was kind of what I was going to get at, was that my dad ended up finding his rhythm, which was that he would go get coffee with people that were either newly out of addiction, like they were newly sober. He joined AA again, which was where he and my mom originally met. Well, not originally met, re-met. But some of the folks that were they used to be in prison or jail, like he had a special place in his heart for those folks because he used to be a gang member. And so like there's like all of these ways that he was like, let's just get coffee. And he was a talker like me, but he was a great listener as well, just like me. And he would listen and he would talk to people and he would walk through things with people in a way that made them feel seen and made them feel known. And when my dad died, there was a group of people that wanted to do a little memorial for him, and I was exhausted and I didn't want to go. And I'm glad that I did, because it ended up showing me all the ways that my dad had these attributes that weren't just my dad. Like I had in my mind, like, oh, this is my dad. He's, all these things. But I had completely forgotten that he was like a carer of people and a lover of people, and like was there for so many people that I had no idea who they were. And they all knew him, and they all felt like he was like a substitute father, a substitute big brother, like all of these things. And I went, oh, well, that's me. And I realized that this was a legacy I was going to continue, because it needed to be continued, but when he was on disability, he was able to do that now. He didn't have to work. So like this became his mission field. He was a missionary. And so his mission field became when he was at dialysis, hanging out and talking to people during those hours that blood was being sucked out of him and put back in. Like he was sitting there and he was having conversations with people that the next week maybe he didn't see because they passed away over the week. And these were people that it wasn't about converting souls. For him, it was just about, how can I show up? How can I show up and be there for a person? And I'm glad that that's the version of mission work I saw, was that my dad and my mom was this way too, would just show up, was just there, there for someone during a really tough time. And so like we had people that would pop in and pop out. And, there was one guy who was queer who, unfortunately, of course, he was trying to get on the quote unquote straight and narrow. But like my dad was there for him regardless of where he was at in his life. And I remember being like, maybe there's a chance my dad would be okay with me because of seeing that relationship with that guy. And my dad would hug him. My dad would see him and he would hug him. Whereas other people and other men would avoid him. They would avoid hugging him or touching him. And I saw my dad embrace him. And I thought, oh, like, my dad's not disgusted by his homosexuality, but by his queerness, And I feel like that kind of like, there's so much of this kind of need, of folks. And I was thinking about this earlier because I applied for a job that's like a full-time job, and it's the first time I've applied for a full-time job in fucking ever.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it'll turn into anything, but it's like one of those jobs is like, okay, if I was going to apply for something, it would be like this. It's just everything that would work for me and is like perfect for my just who I am. But that, in thinking about that, I was like, but will it take away from what I am able to bring to the world in terms of community and in terms of having a coffee and a last minute lunch? Like even just last month, we went out with someone because someone emailed me and said, hey, I think this person really needs some time with you. They've never met you before, but I think if they could just have lunch with you, it would change their life.
Yeah.
And it has so far. And like we had lunch, we had a long day. We had lunch and then we had coffee. And we never met before. And it was huge. And they're already impacting and changing my life in some ways too. But that was because I was able to do that. I was able to go out and have that lunch. And so you know, I just feel like the people who can do that, the people who are on disability or whatever, have a partner that has, income, or maybe they are out of a job right now.
Yep.
They still are contributing massively, and whether it's just them healing, whether it's physically or emotionally healing from trauma, healing from something, all of these things are valid existences and important to the structure of us moving forward and healing as a society.
Hey, listeners of Queer Consciousness. Clearly, you have excellent taste, so we wanted to introduce ourselves. My name is Elise, they, them.
I'm Carrie, she, they, and together we created our podcast Proudly on Record to give a platform to queer stories as an act of resistance.
We would love to invite you to join our conversations with queer folks exploring the long-term effects of religious trauma, journeys of deconstruction, and the joy that comes from living life as your true, authentic self.
Lately, we've spoken with conversion therapy survivors, explored the sapphic drag queen scene, asked ex-Mormons how they survived without caffeine, and interrogated mental health experts on why. Just why?
So, if you've ever felt entitled to monetary compensation due to your religious trauma, or have ever wanted to waltz with potatoes up and down the produce aisle, have we got a show for you.
You can find Proudly on Record on all streaming platforms.
Now, back to our favorite theys, Jess and Kit.
Welcome, ladybugs and jelly beans, reptiles and crocodiles, to patreon.com/Queer Consciousness Podcast Race today. We have a wonderful field of horses that are all set up and ready to go. And they're off. In the lead is the community tier. This tier is eating up the track as it goes, giving you things like access to Kit's blogs, as well as a Patreon-exclusive conversation. It helps the podcast pay for things like the podcast feed and the recording setup. But close behind it is the producer tier. This tier pays Jess for all of their hard work on making this podcast sound as great as it is, as well as the video editing for YouTube. As they make a way down their backstretch, if you sign up at this tier, you'll get a shout-out at the end of the episode. They're rounding the last turn and coming down the home stretch. Making a break for it is the patron tier. They are closing the gap. This tier is the one that will help the podcast be able to give back to the queer community. And it is a three-way tie as they dive across the finish line. Thank you, ladybugs and jelly beans, reptiles and crocodiles, for coming to patreon.com/Queer Consciousness Podcast Race today. We hope you enjoy, and good luck to all the competitors.
They are. And, again, it's another argument for universal basic income, right? Like people,
Yes.
and housing and food, right? Like there's so many conversations that can go off on that. Like,
Which rabbit trail shall we choose?
Right.
Kit?
I mean, when you guys were talking, I was like, this is why everyone who understands why universal basic income would actually work makes the argument that everyone, if funny how money can't buy you happiness, but money can buy you security. And security equals happiness, because when you have a roof over your head, when you have food in your belly, when you have all of your necessities,
Food in my belly.
food in your belly is just shoves their face full of a sandwich.
Yep.
When you have the necessities to keep you alive taken care of, and you don't need to worry about where your next meal is coming from, whether your lights are going to be on when you get home, whether you're going to be able to call your friends because you don't have enough money to pay for your phone or your internet or whatever, the basic necessities, once they are taken care of, it's crazy how your quality of life skyrockets, because you are no longer stressed about the things that can legitimately kill you. If you don't have food, you are going to die. If you don't have a place to live, your likelihood of not making it to the next morning greatly increases. If you don't have a car to get you to your job because of the fact that the United States has decided that major car corporations are the ones that should get all of the money, therefore we cannot have public transportation, but that's a different rabbit trail. But just the fact that when you have the ability to have your physical human needs met, your ability to then bring your best self to the rest of society
increases, because then you are able to take the things that you are passionate about and actively serve the community that's around you. It doesn't have to be the community of the entire globe or even the entire country or even the entire state. You could literally serve the community of your block, the block that your house is on.
Yes. Like, and that's the thing that I think people get overwhelmed because they're like, there's so much going on and I don't know what to do. And it's like, babe, fucking take care of your recycling, pick up the litter when you see it, and be nice to your fucking neighbors and don't support billionaires. That's it. 4 easy steps. You could do that today. You could do that today.
100%,
And that's our podcast. No, I feel
Yeah,
like
that's our podcast. Yeah,
and
that's it.
Literally, that's such a good message in a bottle, and like it's so accurate. I do think that like at the ethos in the center of our mission of what we're doing with queer consciousness is just that. Like we're trying to just put joy and put good vibes and good energy out into the world and have conversations that make people want to grow, you know?
Yeah.
And like, it's so real. I have a friend who really lives this out. My friend Ruth, she has like on her block, she knows so many of the people on her block. She has a big old dog that needs walking a lot. And even though she has a full-time job now, the kids will still, she's a remote, so she can be at home, but the kids on the block will always come knocking on her door. Like, Miss Ruth, you know, like they wanna, you know, whether they want to play with the dog or they want to, you know, do something with chalk on the side street. And because of those relationships that she built for years, when I started invading her neighborhood, there were people who trusted her to take their child who was newly born to the doctor. Like,
That's crazy.
this person who is a neighbor who you don't know otherwise, you're trusting because you cannot leave your home, you know? And like there's so many stories that were like this because she was trusted because of the relationship she's built over years on this block. And if we could do that, we could really, like, we don't have to be international, you know, like celebrities. We could be like you are, Maude, on Threads, pumping people up and letting people know that they are loved and that they are supported, and that they are valid. Like all of this is important, and I think that reminding each other of that is really important because we do feel lost. Sometimes we feel so lost in the sea of hurt that is being put down on us, especially Americans. But I would say Christian nationalism is way further than America. It's gone all over.
Yeah.
And its favorite thing is to make people feel small and like they don't matter, and also like they're pieces of shit. And like the only thing that would give them purpose is if they joined this very specific formula.
Yeah. And that's really sad. And it reduces what we're capable of. And, you know, what we're capable of individuals, but what we can achieve as a species. And,
Yeah.
you know, we are wasting so much money, killing our planet, killing each other. You know, and it's truly pointless. And yeah, and so that's kind of like what I'm trying to do is just like kind of like wake up and be like, come on guys, like let's just like stop killing each other here. Like that's it. And it's not about anybody. It's not superiority over anybody. It's about accepting everybody. Everybody is valid. Everybody is valid. Everybody deserves to live. Everybody deserves to live without persecution. Everybody deserves to live without the threat of being arrested for how they present or what their religion is or where they live or anything. So, you know, and what what is happening in America, especially the way the government has rolled back all of its rights on, you know, the LGBTQ community, is scary. It's very scary. Watching it from the outside, as a very concerned Canadian, is like, it's terrifying. I'm worried for a lot of my friends.
Well, we have friends that have joined you, that have become Canadians, and then we also have friends that, the ones that I'm seeing that are staying here and staying on the front lines, like there is an incredible amount of strength and resilience and joy that they are just fucking fighting back with. Like,
Good.
it isn't the ones that I feel like are making a difference are not the ones that, like, anger is valid, right? Like in a lot of places, but the ones that I see that are like really just
It
inspiring
doesn't
to me.
feel hopeless.
Yes, they feel like they are just using joy to fight back.
Good.
And it's one of the things, like this weekend, my favorite event of Pride happens in LA. It's called Dyke Day. And
Nice.
it's 18 years old, it's volunteer run, and it's free, which is rare for Pride, like big Pride events. It's all day thing, and it's probably one of the most inclusive events I've ever been to, which is funny because it's called Dyke Day. But that's just an homage to who started it and why it's important. It's amazing to be in a sea of individuals who would have your back in 2 seconds, and realize that you're not alone, and there's just a strength in the air that like fills you when you feel it. Like if you were to show up and you were on empty, you wouldn't have to pay to gas up, right? You would just show up and you would just feel it kind of filling your tank,
Awesome.
And it's like, we need that. We all need those kinds of things to fill us up. And sometimes it's just one person. Sometimes it's just one person telling you that you're worthy and like filling you up. And sometimes it's, for an extrovert like me, it's being in a sea of people that that I think are badass and awesome, and I want to be all their friends.
Yeah, totally.
But
Well, and sometimes it's people like me just reaching out, the people screaming into the void going, can anyone see me?
that's right.
Like, hell yeah, I can see you.
Yeah, you're not alone. You're not alone. I'm right here. I can hear you. It's interesting. I'm reading. I'm a slower reader, and I think it's working out for me in this book because I read Parable of the Sower and then Parable of the Talents, which apparently a lot of people skip, or they take a second and then they end up not reading it. Because it's heavy. It's a heavy book series, and it's based in now. And it feels like a prophecy, and it's wild. But there's a moment that I just read where they've been attacked by an impending, basically, Christian nationalist group, and they, instead of tear gas, it was like some sort of paralyzing agent that was used to paralyze the whole town to basically be able to collect them. And they're all starting to, like, there's a lot of women who are starting to like come to. They've split them up into groups, and as the women are coming to, they're calling out like, who's there, but they can't see each other, and they're in the dark. And sometimes I feel like that's us, that we feel like we're in this hopeless place of darkness where we're having a hard time seeing the light, and we hear someone's voice say, hey, over there, I'm alive, and I hear you. Are you okay, friend? And that's where I'm like, we need more of that. We need more of this. Is, if we're going to use social media for good, like, let's do that. Let's do more of that. I see you, friend. You're going to get through this. And that's when I saw you post and say, that you experienced something where you felt seen and then suddenly erased. I felt like, well, I see you and we want to have a conversation. And I hope that that reminded you that you were worthy.
Yeah. And I appreciate it because, yeah, this is actually my first time being on a podcast. So I was like really excited. And then I had it like taken away and then given right back. So it was like, hell yes.
Yeah.
So,
No,
yeah.
I think we need to do that sort of love and care for people more. I mean, I've been on 2-hour long, 3-hour long phone calls with people who I've just met because they were in a dark place and like I knew I could give that. And
that's
made a
what I try to
difference.
do with my Threads account. You know, sometimes just being like, oh, a big account noticed me. That's something. You know, just going, hey, I like your dress. I like your makeup. I like that video you did. Just
Yep.
doing that. It matters. It matters to people, right? Like, just, hey, I like this personality. I like interacting with their content and they noticed me and that matters. And I know I'm nobody. I am nobody. I am not famous. I am just some person sitting literally in my basement. You know, I read a lot of news. I read a lot of stuff. I'm pretty good at sussing out what's true. And then I post it. And people like that. And I am a bit sarcastic. And I'm kind of like, duh, like, have you guys figured this shit out yet or not? Like, the propaganda is propagandaing. Like, I'm gonna figure this shit out or not. So, and people think that's funny. And I have this way about talking that yeah, people laugh. People laugh at me. It's not intentional. But I've realized that it's like, oh, if I lean in a little bit more, then it becomes like this persona that, yeah, it's funny, it's entertaining, and I know it. So I just go with it.
I love that. That's
And
fun.
yeah, right. It's like, oh yeah. So I wasn't meaning to be entertaining, but it turns out it is kind of. So if I just roll with it, I'm like, okay, well, I guess if you guys are gonna laugh at me, then fine, fucking laugh at me. I'm funny. So yeah, I just I decided to roll with it and do that with the news to try and get a bit of attention so that, if people will laugh with the news, then maybe they'll pay attention to it. I don't know. And if I can dumb it down a bit, like to the reading comprehension level that is required for most people in North America reading the news these days,
Yeah.
maybe I can get through to them. And that's what I started doing. And people really seem to respond to that. They like that kind of like, oh, if this person's going to go ahead and source that and source the stuff that's like, I don't want to do all the digging and, but they don't mind that I'm making fun of them for being lazy at the same fucking time, then that's okay. So I'll just do that. It became this thing.
And
So,
honestly, Maude, that sounds a little kinky. What you just said. Like there's a little bit of what's it called?
people like to be abused a little bit.
Is that masochism?
Right? Like, I'll tell you the news, but like, come on. Like, like people like to be talked down to a little bit by somebody that's a bit smarter. I mean, I kind of like it. Why do you think I'm with a surgeon? Right? Like, it's hot. It's sexy. Right? So, yeah. So, I talk to people a bit like they're a little bit stupid and it kind of turns them on, I think. I don't know. They like it. So, I do that. And I talk about the news and I make fun of people a little bit, but generally I'm a nice person and I have big feelings. And but I roll with it and so I have this persona of like, oh, we'll read the news and we'll do this and we'll talk about the issues and we'll be a bit sarcastic about it. And yeah, so and you grow this account and people are like, "Oh, this big account responded to me. That's exciting." Like that's exciting for people, but you know what? I'm nobody. I know I'm nobody, but I know the rush of like, oh, a big account responded to me. So, I do that. It's fun. It's fun.
But
to
we're
be-
all somebody. And I think like that's kind of the
But,
point is that I know what you mean. Like not a
But, like,
celebrity, but
I'm
like
just
that.
a human. I put my pants on one leg at a time. You know.
Yeah.
But but
But you're just trying to put positivity out into the world, and that's
and I love
what
to
matters.
interact with people, right? Like I get, I had someone message me today and they were like, I had talked about my migraines and coming off my meds and someone like, I'm sorry, I don't want to, your private personal space and I know you're really busy and I'm like, I am not a celebrity. You want to know what migraine medication I'm on? Here you go. Like, hope it helps your daughter out. Like whatever. Like, I am here to help people. Like I am just a human. And that's what I try to communicate to people is that human connection, right? We are all just humans and any big name walking around pretending like they are anything more than that is not someone you should be following right now. Because they have bought into this big scam of reality that we are currently suffering under. So yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the big problem. But yeah, that's I'm just trying to bring a little bit of light in and with my little non-binary self that doesn't fit in any boxes. just a little I always struggled with that. Like I was never I don't know. I always said I hated being a woman. I hated it. I hated everything that came with it. Why do I have to be the one that carries babies and, has periods and,
oh God, yeah.
boobs are so annoying, but I don't want a penis either. Like none of it sounds good and none of it sounds good. And then it occurred to me that like maybe I just don't want to be human. Like I'm just a meat sack, and that was the real problem, right? So that's where I kind of slide in on this non-binary thing is I don't want to be anything. I don't want to be associated with you all.
Felt, heard, and felt.
Right? Like y'all are weird. I'll spend time with you, but I just want to send me back to my alien spaceship or whatever, I guess. I don't know. It's been hard. And I think that's maybe the autism, right? Is that sense of like, well, I don't feel like anything. And I did actually change my name. My name was Karen when I was born, and
oh my God, Maude is so much better.
Well, and I hated it because it was spelled Karyn. And so my dad is highly abusive, and he had no problem abusing me and using my name. He'd call me Karen. So that was horrible. That was just horrible for a little girl, right? Okay, Karen. Anytime you're crying, right? And so I just always hated my name, and nobody spelled it right. So an autistic person having your name spelled wrong constantly, like, oh man. And then of course the mid 90s when having customized like necklaces and bracelets and never with a Y, right? And so like we'd go, but my sister had her name all over everything, right? So that sucked. So I just had all this bitterness about this name. And I remember being like 12 years old and driving through town. I could tell you exactly where we are. And my mom saying, why do you hate your name so much? I'm like, besides the fact that my dad has openly told me he hates my name my entire life because he let you pick it. And it's spelled stupid, like all those. I said, it reminds me of a 40-year-old woman that's divorced with 2 teenage sons that hate her. And then the Karen meme became a thing. Like, did I manifest this? Like, did I manifest the Karen phenomenon for myself? Because I think I might have. I think this is my fault, guys. So I must apologize to all Karens on behalf of everyone everywhere because I think I manifested that because I'm sure that was exactly the haircut I must have been. There's a boy, and I'm not going to name him. I don't want to do it, but because she was a lovely lady, but there's a woman who used to come into the school and teach some gym classes, and she had that hair, the Karen haircut, and that was exactly the haircut I was envisioning when I was picturing this, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And so I didn't want to change. I did want to change my name. I found out when I was 16 you could legally change your name, and I was like, hell yes, I'm doing that. And my mom she was like, I picked that name for you, special. So she made the guilt, right? The mom guilt. So I couldn't change my name. And oh, my dog, I'm so sorry. She's shaking my camera. Okay. She's like, you're done. You're done, and it's time to play with me.
Well,
So
Kids cats do that to them.
yeah,
all the time.
I got smart and I fed them before we got on the recording so that they wouldn't annoy me. But
I did
they're
too.
they're
I
starting
did
to
too.
they're starting to get annoyed that I haven't been paying any attention to them.
Yeah. Well, and I'm talking to someone, so she's like, who are you talking to?
Mhm.
So anyway, yeah, I told my mom I was gonna change my name, and she got very upset with me. And that was like, okay, so I guess I'll just never change my name then, and I'll just deal with it. So I was Karen, and I was Karen, and I was Karen, and I built my photography business under Karen. And then my cousin, who's trans, came out, and then after a while changed their name and began having surgeries and things. And my mom was such a fierce defender of my cousin, like, do not dead name him, never call him the wrong name, like, this is his name. You do not ever, like, fought with her sister because my aunts and uncle didn't accept their son as well as some of the other family members. But my mom was so on side, and I was like, the fuck? I don't want to change my gender. I don't want to have any surgeries. I just want to change my name. And that's when she finally was like, I get it now. And she acknowledged like the abuse that I'd gone through with the trauma with my name and everything like that. And so she actually helped me pick my name in the end. So yeah, so she helped me pick my new name. It's a family name. Maude was my great grandma. So yeah, so that was healing for her, I think, to like, because
Be a
my
part of
dad
it.
wouldn't engage with her on it. So
Yeah.
which is why, and then she picked Karen, and then he was like, I hate that name. So typical abusive narcissistic man things, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, right. And then of course hate her for the choice that she made when he refused to participate. So typical abuse stuff. So you know, yeah, it's just been those patterns, right? So it was healing for my mom, I think, to be like, we're gonna pick a new name for me, and we're gonna do it with you and me and my daughter, and and that's what we ended up picking was my great grandmother's name. So yeah.
That's a
That's
great
so
name.
cool.
Yeah, it was healing. It was healing and really, really good for us. So I think it was transitional that way. So, healing can be really good and dropping those names. But yeah, I was really surprised when my cousin came out and she was like so fierce about the name. And I was like, what?
Yep.
So yeah, that's why I changed it so late. So and then I started talking about it just before my divorce. So and then when my ex told me he wanted to separate, then it was like, oh well, I don't want to go back to my dad's last name either. So I just took my middle name as my last name for now. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, like again, it's like gender affirming surgeries
Mhm.
are gender affirming care is not just for trans people. Similar, like this is gender affirming care, whether it's, so that we can do legalized name changes, things like that. Like,
Exactly.
that's not just for trans people. Like it's for
Right.
all kinds of people.
And we
Abuse
talk about
victims.
abuse victims. We talk about Viagra's gender affirming care.
Yep.
Right? Hair loss, birth
Implant.
control.
Birth
Yep.
control. Yep.
Implants or breast reductions, all gender affirming care, right? So
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
So real. Well, Maude, I really enjoyed this conversation. Kit, do you think we should ask the final question?
Yes, we should. We absolutely should. So,
Okay.
Maude, knowing what you know now, having lived the life that you have lived, if you could go back to your 21-year-old self and give her one single piece of advice about sex, what would it be?
Stop being so self-conscious. I was so in my head about what this looked like, or,
Mhm.
if I was and not at all about how it felt, how safe I felt. You know, what, yeah, I was really more concerned about how it might look, what my body looked like, because, of course, being trained into you're focusing on your appearance, being slender, all of that. And I really wasn't in a place to consider my own pleasure, consider my safety, and I really, really wish I had. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's something that I would say a lot of people who, well, actually, not across the board. Doesn't matter what gender you were assigned at birth. Across the board, a lot of times people will be self-conscious. Like with men, it's the size of their penis because that's what matters. It's not how you use it, it's how big it is. And women, it's the opposite, where it's how small can you be? And the fact that it's so baked in to the heteronormative space with patriarchy that it has absolutely bled over into the queer community, where when you are scrolling through apps, 9 times out of 10, people are going to be like, I liked how he looked, or I thought she was hot. That's it. That's that. Your physical appearances is as far as you got. There's more to sex, and then to bring it all the way back to the beginning of the conversation, Maude, with your definition of what sex means to you, having it be a connection where you are being brought closer to the other person as well as to source, and being able to fully encompass the entirety of existence into a moment with another person is so great. And it shouldn't matter what your meat suit looks like in order to be able to do that.
Exactly. And that's the last thing you should be thinking about when you're doing it.
Absolutely. What a good conversation. Thank you, Maude, so much for being here, and thank you for existing in the world the way that you do, inspired by so much resilience.
Thank you for
And
having me.
we're so
Maude,
glad to have you.
I'm very, very, very glad that we got to have this conversation. Where can the people find you?
So most of my following is on Threads. My handle is It's Me Maude Holly. And it's the same everywhere on Instagram. I'm not very active there. And over on Facebook as well, Maude Holly.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, folks, if you want just a little bit of sarcasm with your news, and just a little bit of you want to be talked down to just a little bit with your news, go check out Maude on Threads. And also I believe that there's way more to them than that. And so please go follow them if you aren't already. Maude, thanks for being here, and I just hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Amazing. Until next time.
This podcast is hosted by me, Kit Sargent, co-hosted and produced by Jess Grace Garcia of Springward Productions, and the theme music is by Brian Smith of Holy Holy Music Productions. If you could do us a huge favor and please like, follow, comment, share, do all of the things on all of the socials. You can follow the podcast on Instagram @_queer.consciousness for all the latest episodes, as well as any other exciting news. When you're listening on Spotify, please leave a 5-star rating and use the comment box for anything you'd like us to talk about. When you're listening to Apple Podcasts, please leave a comment and a 5-star rating. If you'd like to be on the podcast, send a message to queerconsciousnesspod@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/queerconsciousnesspodcast. We are trying to grow as organically as possible, and this helps other like-minded people who want to empower and encourage others on their journey. So until next time, remember to stand in your truth and know that you are worthy, just as you are. Hey friend, just wanted to take a quick second to remind you that if you or someone you know is struggling and don't know where to turn, the trained volunteers at the LGBT National Hotline are here to help. Because sometimes the strongest thing to do is to ask for help. The national hotline phone number is 888-843-4564. And if you want to check out the other things that they have available for them to help you with, you can check out the lgbthotline.org in order to be able to see all of the services that they offer in order to help our community.